What's going on? Eric here. Hope you're all doing good today. This is video number 2 in my Espresso for Beginners series. So if you are a beginner in espresso and you want to learn how to get your espresso running right, getting it tasting good, then this is a great video to start off with, a jumping off point into your world of espresso. I'm assuming if you're watching this video that you have an espresso machine, or you like espresso that you've had in cafes and places like that, and you want to try to replicate that at home, and that's what we're here to do. Before we get started, maybe give me a little like, maybe give me a little subscribe, and if you like this video at the end, it helped you out, maybe leave a little comment. That will help me out big time. Thank you so much. Let's get going. Before we get too into the weeds, I'm going to give you a couple little disclaimers. This will be quick, all right? So just hang on. Disclaimer number 1 is this is a jumping off point. This is a very basic tutorial. This is going to get your foot in the door and teach you basically how most people in cafes originally learn how to make coffee. And from there, you can try different recipes, you can try different techniques, you can learn more about coffee, and you can get away from this very basic, formulaic kind of approach. But I promise you, if you learn to do it this way first, you will be able to expand your mind, expand your palate, expand your skills, and this will really give you a reference point where you can really get going. Disclaimer number 2, taste is subjective. No one can tell you what you think tastes good or what you think tastes bad is wrong. I mean, everybody's an individual, everyone tastes things different. You are a unique little snowflake floating around there, and your tongue works different than other people. So wherever you're at with your espresso journey, whatever you think tastes good, then you're right. If it tastes good to you, then you are doing it right, and you don't have to worry about what anyone else says. So if any point in this tutorial you taste the shot that you just made and you're like, hey, this tastes good, then good, you've done a good job. Third disclaimer is that if you are a very scientifically minded person, and if you are a person who really wants to get deep into the weeds of espresso, this is a very basic kind of tutorial. There are other channels that will give you a much deeper dive into the world of espresso, really get into the nitty gritty, and I'm gonna throw up a little link here. Lance Hedrick, he is one of the people who is one of the smartest people in the room at all times, and they will really get you deep into the weeds of, espresso theories, tasting theories, just stuff that will make most of our minds explode. But let's get to the basics first. In this tutorial, we're going to be going over making espresso with basically the stock equipment that most inexpensive budget espresso machines should come with. A regular tamper, nothing too fancy, not a regular basket that isn't upgraded or anything like that. The portafilter here without it having a bottom. But the only things that I want you to check out here is make sure this right here, your portafilter basket, has a lot of little holes on the bottom, because if it only has one small hole here, then it's not the kind of basket that we need to dial an espresso properly. This is called a standard basket. The one with only one little hole in the bottom is called a pressurized basket, and it does make espresso like coffee, but for our purposes, this is the one that we need to make espresso to the cafe standards. More challenging, but to me it's worth it. Speaking of this, we're going to talk about the tools that we're going to need to make espresso. Of course, you're going to need a little tamper. Doesn't need to be fancy. We are going to need our portafilter, our espresso machine, and we're going to need that basket with lots of holes in the bottom. A double basket, please. So one that can fit about 17 to 19 grams of espresso in here. We're going to need a clean, dry cloth for wiping out your portafilter between every shot to make sure that everything is clean and dry in here, because that will definitely affect your espresso. You're going to need a wet-ish kind of cleaning cloth just for wiping things down, keeping things neat, because espresso is messy. We're going to need a grinder. Now, this is the add-on that a lot of people don't have yet, and unfortunately you do need an espresso-capable grinder to make espresso at home. You can't have a blade grinder, which is the ones with the little blades on there that looks like a helicopter propeller whirling around and around and around and around. You're going to need a burr grinder. That is the kind that have little burrs inside that basically crush up the beans, hopefully in a very uniform way, and that one needs to be espresso capable. Now, there are two main types of grinders in the entry-level espresso world. So this is what we call all-purpose grinder, meaning that it's designed to do everything from espresso all the way to French press, so extremely fine to extremely coarse. This is more of a specialized grinder that really it has a lot of settings, but it's mostly designed just for working with espresso. You can tell because there's the bellows on top for pumping it. Whatever kind you have, that's fine, but just make sure that it can go fine enough for espresso. There's a lot of grinders out there that can't, and if you need some recommendations for grinders, I've got a couple linked down below. I'll also link up a video up here of maybe about this grinder here. So a tool that you really do need to do this consistently and to replicate your results over and over again to make it easier for you in the beginning especially is an espresso scale. Well, you don't necessarily need to have it be an espresso scale, but this just makes the job easier because it's small, it's compact, usually a little bit waterproof, usually a little bit heat resistant, and usually more accurate than your average kitchen scale. And the main thing about an espresso scale is it doesn't have to be designed for espresso. What we really want is it to be able to fit on the tray here. If you don't want an espresso scale, you don't need an espresso scale, you already have a scale for using in the kitchen for baking or whatever you're doing for recipes, then a kitchen scale like this is fine. It won't fit on here. It's just going to be a little bit different of a process. All right, so in this video, we're going to talk about dialing in espresso if you have a counter kitchen scale. So a scale that's too big to fit on your espresso machine, like this guy right here. It won't fit there. It won't do me any good. If you have a small scale that will fit on your espresso machine or an espresso scale that will fit on your espresso machine, jump over to this video here. That's where I'm going to go over the basics for learning to dial in for that. Okay, we got that preamble out of the way. Let's get into it. Today's word of the day is dialing in. Dialing in means to find the right setting for your espresso. Essentially, finding the right place on your espresso machine and on your grinder that will make your espresso sing, that will make it taste its best. And every coffee will have a different little notch, different little place that'll make it taste better. The reason why you can't just have a grinder and put it on setting number 2 and leave it there all the time is because coffee is extremely dynamic. It comes in different roast styles, it comes in different processing styles, it comes from different places, it comes from different farms within those places. It also comes in different stages. It's very much like produce, like an avocado or something like that. Same bag of coffee actually will act different throughout the couple weeks that you have it in your house, because when you first get it, if it's fresh off the roast, if it's the best kind of coffee you can get, which is locally roasted and roasted by somebody who knows what they're doing, then it's gonna be really full of gas in the beginning because gas slowly dissipates. And then as it gets older, it's gonna be less gas in it. So it's gonna behave differently. That's why learning to dial in is important, because even the most standard bag of beans from your grocery store will be different every time you buy it because coffee is dynamic. You know, a little bit like me. All right, we wanna find the sweet spot for this espresso, right? And the main rule for that is finer and coarser on your grinder will affect the way your espresso flows through, right? So the water is gonna go through that ground up coffee and it's gonna come out here and it's gonna be espresso, and basically the size of your grind will affect that. So we're gonna use 2 basic terms for that, finer and coarser. So the finer you go, the slower that espresso is gonna flow out of the portafilter. The coarser you go, the faster it's gonna flow out of the portafilter. Now, the basic idea is finer will give you more intensity to a point, and coarser will give you less intensity. Now, there are benefits to both. Coarser might give you more floral notes and more sweet notes, and finer notes will start to get more and more stringent and bitter the finer you go. But finding that spot in the middle, just the right spot that tastes good to you, that's the important thing. To achieve that optimal espresso, we're gonna start, for all of us beginners, we're gonna start with a very basic recipe or a ratio. And that recipe is gonna be 1 to 2, meaning for every 1 part of coffee that you put in here, we're gonna weigh out 2 parts that amount in liquid espresso. And that espresso recipe that we're gonna be doing today is the most basic one, 18 grams of coffee in here, 36 grams of coffee into your cup. 1 to 2, right? Double. Cool. Now, you can play with that, you can find variants, but that is a great way to start. And the amount of time that we want to hit that 1 to 2 ratio is going to be between 25 and 30 seconds from that first drop out of here. You good? We got it? 1 to 2 ratio in 25 to 30 seconds. That is the recipe. That is the beginning point. And that, once you can understand that, once you get that dialed in, once you've learned it all, you're gonna be sitting good, because then you're gonna be able to play and you're gonna find out what tastes good to you. Before we do anything too crazy, before we start grinding coffee and everything like that, turn on your espresso machine, run a little bit of hot water with the portafilter in here through it, maybe even run it into your cup so your cup gets warmed up, because we want everything good and hot before we get started. We want to warm up everything. After that, we're going to dry everything out, make everything nice and dry, because we don't want a wet portafilter. That'll kind of mess everything up. So you're going to want to grab your scale now. You're going to want to have an espresso grinder or a coffee grinder that can do espresso, and you're going to want to have nothing in the hopper. All right, if you have something in the hopper, that's fine. Use that up. Come back to this tutorial after you've used that up, and then we're gonna start again. So you wanna get your scale and you wanna weigh out about 18 grams. You wanna get as close to 18 grams as you can. So you got your 18 grams weighed out, ready to go. You're gonna make that setting on your coffee grinder in the middle of the espresso range. So open up that manual, do a little Google search, find out where the espresso settings are on your grinder. Maybe it'll tell you right on the grinder, maybe it'll say espresso 1 through 5. Put it right in the middle, because that's where we're going to start, because we need to get an idea of where this grinder sits, because every single grinder acts differently. Put it in the middle, and then you're going to grind it through, and then you're going to check that weight on your scale, and you're going to see that you still have 18 grams. If you got to do a little thing like knock that grinder around to get that extra out of there that's stuck up in there, because that happens a lot, that's fine. If you got to add a couple little extra beans in there to get it down to 18 grams, that's fine too. But the main thing is you want to have 18 grams of freshly ground espresso. We're good? All right. Next, we're gonna take that freshly ground espresso, and if you are grinding into something like this, a cup of some kind, we're gonna carefully and very gingerly put it into our portafilter. Now, if you're grinding directly into your portafilter, that's fine. Just make sure you do that weight thing as well. Weigh out your portafilter, put the espresso in there, then check the weight of the portafilter. Great, 18 grams, are we good? Awesome. So we've got our 18 grams in here. Now, we've got a little mound on top of our espresso. We're just gonna gently bump a bump. Just leave it a couple little knocks, bump a bump, until it kind of smooths out as best you can. Gentle taps, bump a bump, bump a bump, to make it as smooth and uniform as you can. Now we're gonna tamp. Now, there are other kinds of tampers that will work easier, meaning that it's going to sit on there flat every time. You don't have to worry about your tamper being crooked, but we're just gonna worry about using a standard, inexpensive, very, very regular tamper today. And the whole name of the game is, when tamping, is to try to get things compacted, and you wanna do that on the counter. Now, if you need to put down a cloth or something so you don't scar your counter, that's good. If you got a fancy tamping station like I do, that's good too. But we're putting it down. Don't do this in the air, okay? Put it down and tamp. Now, tamping means pressing down, and you're gonna put about 25 pounds to 30 pounds of pressure. What does that mean? Probably not much to you, but it means just compacting things down to where they really stop. Now, a good way to do that is to just make your wrist as straight as possible, make your elbow as straight as possible, and don't push down with your arm, push down with your shoulder, because you don't wanna hurt anything. You wanna just kinda lean down onto it. You don't have to be pushing down hard, you're just leaning down onto it. It's only gonna go down as far as it can go down, so no matter how hard you push, you're not gonna overdo it. But, you know, there's no real reason to push it down like crazy. Just push it down and play with your technique. You'll notice if it's not flat as possible, it's gonna flow out more one side than the other. That does affect your espresso. You wanna get everything even. Even is the name of the game. So you've got your 18 grams of coffee in your basket that was ground on the middle setting of your grinder. You've got it tamped down as straight as you possibly can, right? And now you've got a nice bed of espresso here in your portafilter. What are we gonna do now? We're gonna put it into your espresso machine. Now, we don't wanna bang into things, we don't wanna bump things. The first, when you're a beginner, it's hard. This thing isn't intuitive, but you wanna get it in there as gently as possible, because you don't wanna knock that grind loose, and you wanna bring it over basically to where it stops. You might have to hold onto your espresso machine a little bit, but you want a good seal, so push it over to where it stops. So here is how we're gonna do this if you have a countertop scale. You got this ready to go, you got it, we're all set up here. we've got our cup that we're going to be brewing into. We're going to tire this out onto 0. We're going to make sure that this is, we're going to want to know what this weight is, right? We're going to put it here underneath your portafilter. We are going to get a timer app out or look at a clock, and we're going to get that ready. We're not going to start the timer yet, but we're going to get it ready. I want you to have your espresso machine set up so you can stop it manually. Now that means maybe programming your shot time here to be longer, like up to a minute, or you could, if you have the kind that just has a knob that you switch on and off, that's fine too. No matter what you're doing, you want to be manually starting and stopping your shots. So you're starting your shot, waiting for that first drop. As soon as that first drop comes out, starting your timer, watching those shots, watching that timer. Your timer hits 25 seconds, stop that shot and pull it out of there. If it's still dripping, that's fine, just get it out of there. And then we're gonna see how much espresso we got. So you got your timer at 25 seconds. You got, checking the weight here on your espresso. In 25 seconds, what did you get out? Did you get 10 grams in there? Did you get 50 grams in there? Now remember, for our 1-to-2 ratio, we're aiming for 36 grams, right? So the only thing we can do here is we can adjust how much more yield, how much more liquid espresso we can get into this cup by adjusting that grind so that it matches that time. Now 25 to 30 seconds, anywhere in that window is good, but the point is you wanna kind of like error anywhere in the middle there. Don't worry about it too much, okay? Because you're gonna get a knack for this. All right, so you got your weight here, 10 grams. Hey, that's not enough. What should we do? We're gonna want that to run faster, AKA coarser. We're gonna go a notch coarser. We're gonna try again. Run those shots, reset, clean everything up, wipe everything out, reset, make sure we got 18 grams. We're grinding a notch coarser, try it out again, put it under here, start your shot, first drop, start that timer, 25 seconds, stop and yank it out of there. Check out your weight. Are we at 20 grams now? All right, we still need to go another notch coarser, AKA faster, to increase that flow. I want you to also, in between every one of these, to make sure that you taste the espresso, even the littlest taste, even just to get a little bit on your tongue. Because if it tastes good to you, then you're done, that's good. But while we're aiming for these parameters, while we're aiming for this target, just keep playing with that. Now, the other side of things, you got your 18 grams, got everything reset, got this tiered out to 0, putting it on here, starting our shot, waiting for that first drop, starting that timer as soon as you've seen that first drop, stopping that shot when this hits about 25 seconds, yanking it out of the way, checking the weight. Is it 36 grams? No, it's 60 grams. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of coffee. Well, taste it. It might taste good, but it might not be punchy enough. It might not have that boom, that espresso-ness like that, right? If it's not right at that 1-to-2 ratio and we don't like it, we're gonna slow it down. We're gonna go finer, because finer means slower. And then we're gonna reset and try again. Hey, this time we got 40 grams. That's pretty good. How does it taste? I bet it tastes good. But if you wanna get it a little bit more punchier, reset, wipe down, start over, notch finer, and try it again. One thing I will note, one little caveat of this whole thing that I will note is that grinders, like I said, like to hang on to their grind. So sometimes your little adjustment might not really take effect the first time. So if you notice that things are kind of jumping around, just know that you might have a lot of stuff stuck up in your grinder. That's why people who are real obsessive about espresso will grind out a little bit of coffee, throw it away, and then grind again. But you know, just know that that might be happening if you're going crazy, if your grinder is unfortunately a grinder that likes to misbehave. At the end of the day, the way that we're going to find out how we can make this lighter or heavier is by adjusting finer or coarser, because we know that finer means slower, but in this case, it also means lighter weight. And we also know that coarser means faster, but in this case, it also means heavier weight, because we're going by, we're timing our shots, and then we're checking our yield afterwards. And you're gonna find that sweet spot. We're going for that 1-to-2 ratio, 18 grams in, 36 grams out, and hopefully in 25 to 30 seconds. And that will let you know how it tastes, how it's good. If you taste that and it's hitting all those numbers, everything's right, looking good, we're getting all those numbers, everything's looking great, but doesn't taste right to you, then we can make some adjustments. Hey, this is in that window. I got 36 grams here exactly. It was 25 seconds exactly, but this is like making me curl my teeth back. This is like intense aroma. We're gonna go a little bit coarser, right? We're gonna open things up a little bit. Let some more of that sweetness and floral notes in there. All right, and the same thing on the other way. Hey, this kind of lacks what I want. This doesn't really taste like espresso. This tastes like a strong coffee. We're gonna go a little finer. We're gonna make it a little punchier. We're gonna give it a little more intensity. So that is how you are gonna do this when you have a scale on the counter. All right? You might not wanna be pulling 3 or 4 or 5 shots all in one day because you might not wanna be drinking that much coffee. But you can keep playing with this. You can adjust a little bit each day that you're making a coffee. Maybe do 2 shots every morning to try until you find that right window. And here's the other thing. Just keep tasting it because that's gonna help you understand what's going on. The reason why I want you to hit this 1-to-2 ratio in 25 to 30 seconds is because I want you to be able to have control over your espresso and always aim for something, because once that becomes intuitive, you can understand, oh, this darker roast tastes better a little slower, or this lighter roast tastes a little better a little faster. It's gonna kind of click for you. Now, I recommend always having a good hot machine, all warmed up, always using freshly roasted coffee from a local roaster, and I always recommend weighing everything out. I mean, if you're doing these things, you're gonna make good espresso. Also understand that if you mess up, or it didn't come out the way you wanted, or you're getting frustrated, it's taking 10 shots before you find it, that is not wasted coffee, that is not wasted time, that is learning. That is like going to school. And the more you do it, the faster you'll get at it, the more intuitive it'll become, and you won't be feeling like you're tearing out your hair. You're gonna get that new bag of coffee, you're gonna start it in that around the last setting you tried, and you're gonna intuitively know, because you've gotten to know your machine, you've gotten to know your grinder, oh, I think this is a 2-click guy. I'm gonna go 2 clicks coarser because that was way too slow. It's all gonna click in place for you. So repeat, 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 and keep at it. You're gonna get this. Hey, I hope that helped you. That is the basics of dialing in. That is how you dial in, and that is what you have to know. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe if you would. We're gonna keep this series, Espresso for Beginners, going, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.